John Irving may be America's modern-day Charles Dickens, the author of huge, sprawling bestsellers like The World According to Garp, The Cider House Rules, and A Widow for 1 Year. He came into the building recently to talk about his new novel and his unusual and old-fashioned approach to writing fiction. John Irving, you're one of America's most prolific novelists, also one of the most ambitious. Your novels are long and many-layered. Tell us about the new novel that you've very close to finished. It's your 12th. What's it about? What's the story you're telling?
It started for me in January 2005. I was in Vermont on my way north to Rutland to see my hand doctor, a hand surgeon. I was thinking about this novel. At the time, I knew there was a cook in a logging camp in a kind of rough spot in the 1950s when they were still driving logs down rivers. I knew he'd lost a wife at a young age and that he was trying to bring up a 12-year-old son by himself. There was an old Bob Dylan CD on my car CD player, Tangled Up in Blue. I must have heard it 100 times. But a line, a stanza, a fragment of a stanza sort of came out at me. I had a job in the Great North Woods working as a cook for a spell. Sure. But I never did like it all that much. And one day, the axe just fell. And by the time I got to my doctor's office, I knew the last sentence of the novel. It always works like that for me. I begin with a last sentence. As soon as I got situated in my doctor's office, I was looking around for something to write the sentence down with. And there was nothing but a pad of prescription paper on her desk. And so I was writing the last sentence to myself when she came into the office and naturally thought I was writing myself a prescription, painkillers probably. That's when that's happened, in January 2005.
How do you know you have that last sentence? Does that sentence ever get changed?
Never. First sentences, they change all the time. Sometimes first chapters become fifth chapters, and fifth chapters become first chapters. But last chapters and last sentences in particular never have changed. Not a word, not a comma, not a parenthesis, not a dash, nothing. They stay fixed like a piece of music that you're writing toward.
You sort of came into the sort of full existence of this novel. You knew what you were going to do January 2005. It will be published, I believe, in November or some late fall 2009.
Correct.
So that's almost 5 years. Was that a typical length of time, or?
Actually, it's short for me. It's quickly developing for me. I wrote the first sentence of this novel 7 months after I heard that last sentence. That's fast for me. I usually don't get to the first sentence in less than a year, often more. But this time I got there in 7 months, from last sentence to first sentence.
The novel's not published yet, but can you give us a treat? Since you've described your unusual and original process for writing a novel, just what are the first and last sentences of this new one?
Sure. Because it's the way I do it, I should give you the last sentence first, because it was the first sentence for me. It's the one I was writing toward. He felt that the great adventure of his life was just beginning, as his father must have felt in the throes and dire circumstances of his last night in Twisted River.
That's the last sentence.
That's the last sentence. It's only the second novel in which I've been able to work the title of the novel into the last sentence. That happened in The World According to Garp, more by accident than in this case, which was by design. I don't try too hard to do that. I don't force it, but I'm happy when it happens.
And what's the first sentence?
I like it when I can begin the book in the middle of an accident, in the middle of an action. And the first sentence of this novel is, the young Canadian, who could not have been more than 15, had hesitated too long.
Thank you, John Irving.
Welcome.